Well, we are back. Greetings, hello, salutations, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Brad and John are back in
We're
the podcast
back.
space. Yeah, and unlike Dean Ambrose, we're going to tell you why we're back. And unlike the WWE, we are going to be a lot more logical and explain our actions. And even though Brad went above my head, which isn't very tall, and did the intro episode, which was a very good thing, this is more of an introductory episode, and then we're gonna get into the week that was in the WWE. And oh, by the way, we have a new name. We have a new name. It isn't backstage in WWE. No, 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 no. There are no backstage scoops. Those are left for the podcast that do 4 to 5 shows a day, sometimes 6 on 100 platforms. No, we are going to keep it classy and organized on the You Didn't Know Wrestling Show. Not copywritten, by the way. Brad, hi.
How's it going, John?
Oh, I'm fine. Just finished Riverdale. All hopped up on the blue drink.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm fired up. I can't say that. I'm rowdy and ready. That's
You're
what I am.
Are you the baddest? Are you the baddest bitch in the world? Oh, come on! You're fired up. Are you fired up twice a day? Sometimes 3 times.
Even 4.
Sometimes 4. Are you fired up in Canada or in England? The world may never know.
I don't know, John. I don't know if you heard, but I'm actually Mr. International. I've appeared on ESPN Radio, Fox Sports Radio, UK Sky Sports Radio, and also Toronto, The Vibe FM 105. I'm the real Mr. International. It's not Pitbull. Pitbull's old news.
You're right, and they call me Mr. National Radio because I've been on iHeartRadio, but ignore the fact that they filed for bankruptcy 2 years ago. All right, so let's the folks on Reddit are really going to say we put ourselves over, but hey, that's okay. That's what the world does. We all have egos, right? It's just how we control those egos that really set us apart among the rest of the world. No, for those that don't know, and please let's get the emphysemic elephant that pretends he's his sister out of the room. Brad and I are no longer with a certain website that tries to do wrestling and sports coverage. No, and we're not going to say their names because that's just slander. Slander's not cool, and we could get sued. We don't want to do that. We have branched off and are doing our own thing. We're doing this whole podcast thing again. To all of those that have listened to us and that will continue to, you guys are awesome. Thank you all so much. Thousands of downloads when we were doing Backstage in WWE. Now that we're back with the You Didn't Know Wrestling Show, and I couldn't be more excited because we are our own bosses.
Yeah,
for
that's
the
a
first
really
time.
cool thing, John. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great point. Is we have the freedom to say what we want, to do what we want, and it's not about trying to be the star of the show between you and I. There's, I think this is more the creative freedom we're going to have to be able to do this show. It's really cool when you're able to be your own boss. I've done that before. And so I think this is definitely going to be something different than some of the work you may have heard of mine over the past several months.
And that's really what I'm excited about. I've been just taking time off, watching the Hulu cuts of wrestling. That was my old gimmick, and I've kind of kept that because I got to say, man, an hour and a half of wrestling Monday and Tuesday is perfect. It is perfect. Yeah. Because 3 hours in commercials, heaven forbid. No, I'm talking about an hour and a half, and I have the ability to skip it if I want to. Oh, wrestling has never been better from, my own standpoint. But I do digress. And, just going through You know, Brad and I, we want to make it to the big time, to the Taj Mahal, to the what's another, like the Grand Canyon of wrestling podcasts. Is that none of that doesn't make any sense? No,
Yeah, I don't really have anything creative to.
no, me neither.
When we started this podcast and we just talked about being creative, and we have no analogy.
Well, I could find some analogies, but you know, instead, I'm going to go to WWE.com and look at the first thing I see. Oh yes, the Miz and Daniel Bryan being friends. Talk about creative. I mean, it's right in front of our faces. No, so I think, you know, combining with Brad's journalistic skills, the the professionalism that we both show, and the mic quality that is almost top notch. We could honestly get better. Everyone can get better.
Yeah. It's not quite tin can. It's certainly a step above that.
It's a step above a cell phone. That's for damn sure. But you know, going through, I think we're gonna make this podcast fun. And the main thing that I want is not even fans. We don't have fans. Just like engagement with folks that are willing to like give up an hour of their week and listen in. So that's like going from the classic mailbag to tweets to, I don't know, we can start a Facebook page. I can do that. You know, just really anything. I want to engage with with all of you out there, for the hundreds or thousands or even tens that would like to listen. So to that I say, please bother the hell out of us. I'm being serious.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, you know, I've had people tell me, you know, I'm a fan of your work, and I definitely get it, and I totally respect that, and I appreciate it. But it's also a little weird at the same time, right? Because it's kind of like, geez, I'm so down to earth. It's like a fan of me because I do this or that or whatever. And so I never really kind of looked at the people who listen to our podcasts or, you know, have followed a lot of my work as a fan per se, but just someone who, you know, is engaged in what I do, someone who also enjoys the same things.
Absolutely. No, there's no doubt about that. So, without further ado, what a time to start our brand new show, the Oh You Didn't Know Wrestling Show with Brad and Jon. No, no Dona, and you know who I'm talking about. Not with an elbow drop. That is later in the program. With Raw and SmackDown, and I think so. You know, hiding behind the curtain here, we don't have a rundown like we usually did for tonight's show. We're just going to BS and have a conversation. So let's Raw and SmackDown. You know, this is the only time of the year that Raw and SmackDown go head to head in direct competition, right?
Yeah.
So not at the Greatest Royal Rumble, not at the Super Showdown, not at the recent show in Redacted Country. No, just Survivor Series, which is coming up in a few weeks.
I don't know if I saw that Crown Jewel in Redacted.
In Redacted, yes, yeah. Crown Jewel in Redacted because you didn't know the stock dropped. And it was really funny too. As soon as the announcement was made at the stockholders meeting for what it was Q3, wasn't it?
Yeah,
for the Q3 earnings report, which by the way they did very well. I will give them credit where it's due. I was watching the stock go up and down and up and down, and then it went down a lot, and then it went up a little bit. So if you would like to take a guess, I'm on Yahoo Stocks, or I guess Yahoo Finance right now. So in the last month, Bradley, where do you think the WWE has gone in the last month? And I think that this Redacted Country conversation kind of started about a month ago.
Yeah, it was, 90 plus a share. It's down in the mid 70s, I believe now.
That is exactly correct. 75.28 when it started on October 8th at $91 a share.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, Jon, and I talked about this too on Twitter, talking to a source in WWE about the situation. They anticipated a drop regardless. They knew they were going to take a hit whether they did the show, whether they did not do the show. They were just hoping that the stock hit would not be a serious stock hit. It would be worth the money they were getting to continue doing the Saudi deal, to get the money for that particular show, etc. And I think they're right. I mean, I do think the stock is going to recover. It was not what some fans wanted to see for sure, but ultimately it was probably still good for business. No matter how you feel about the situation, personally, it was a business move. And it was very fascinating because here you have a company, and they certainly have ties to the president, and they made a decision to choose profit over morality. And I think in this era, we've seen a lot of companies choose morality over potential profit. And sometimes actually they do end up making more money when they do that. Sometimes they don't, but it's all based on making a social type of decision for their business. And that was really a fascinating part to me of this entire thing, to see how that would play out.
Yeah.
Certainly. So, yeah. Did you watch that show? Did you see Crown Jewel and Redacted?
Yeah, I did.
What did you think of that?
It was a house show, man. It was a house show with a desperate organization wanting to do something splash-worthy because their top star, Roman Reigns, unfortunately had to relinquish the belt due to his fight with leukemia. And my prayers are with him and his family and friends through all of that.
Yep.
Because, I would not wish that on my worst enemy, but...
No, you're right. I mean, I think we all know somebody, friends, coworker, family for me, certainly, that, have suffered or died from cancer. So that's something that is, very personal to me, and I'm probably sure you and many others too. So that's certainly something not to take lightly. And it's certainly a very, very devastating illness.
No, but going back to the show, it was a glorified house show. They did nothing to surprise me, shock me. Every match, a couple of friends and I do a prediction sheet, and for this, I got every match right except for the main event and a few of the World Cup. So let's circle back. Everything else was pretty status quo, which is very unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
You had the WWE or the Universal Championship, and then you had the World Cup. What are your thoughts on what happened? Let's start with the World Cup, because I think that's mostly of shock to everyone. I was not expecting that to happen. Yeah, I don't think anybody was. Yeah, and there are some theories going around that I don't know are true. For example, like it could have been just a gigantic FU to have Shane win because his wife Marissa just did a movie about a war reporting journalist who dies.
How weird is that? He's tweeting that out as they're in Saudi. I'm sorry, redacted.
Redacted, yes.
That was like bizarro land. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it was very interesting. The entire booking was very interesting, and a lot of people are actually angry online about Dolph Ziggler beating Kurt Angle. But to me, it became very apparent during the match that Kurt Angle had to lose. You watched Dolph Ziggler, and he carried Kurt Angle through that match. Kurt Angle looked very bad. He didn't look in any shape to be in the ring. And frankly, it became very obvious to me that there was no way Kurt Angle was going to be able to wrestle 2 or 3 matches in one night anymore. So Dolph had to win just for that reason alone.
Yeah, that's true. But I'll play devil's advocate, though. You bring a guy back from his first singles match in what? A long time in the WWE, of course, like 8-9 years, and you have him lose, and then you fast forward to Monday, you have him lose again. It's submitted by his own submission move. The booking there, not creative.
Yeah, well, yeah, certainly, and I think they realize he's basically done, and so they tried to give Drew McIntyre the big put over. It was supposed to be a big deal, but you're right. I mean, you look at his comeback, whether it's that or whether it's teaming with the Shield in a multi-man match, it's just been pure nostalgia, and it's really actually not been very good.
But okay, so back to the World Cup. Yeah, Kurt Angle loses his very first match back. Seth Rollins. So we see Seth Rollins goes on to win. We don't see any interference from Dean Ambrose moving the storyline together, and I'm not trying to be like a neckbeard saying that I can book better than them. I would never say that because I probably couldn't, because I don't know all the financial implications that really come with booking a wrestling promotion.
Mhm.
Yeah, so leading into that, what we really saw was just complete. It was, to be honest, a breath of fresh air. It was shock and awe. None of those matches, maybe except for the Mysterio match, did I really see happen.
Yeah, yeah. I thought, yeah, you're right. I thought that was a good match. The action was just like you said. It was really a house show. But honestly, I thought this entire event was a bit of a shit show.
It was.
Um, you know, the main event was, to me. I mean, here you've got Triple H producing the event, right?
Yeah.
And he books himself in the main event, and he books himself in a 27-minute main event, right? So you got all these 50-plus-year-old guys in a 27-minute main event. And hey, to his credit, the Saudi crowd wanted it, right? I mean, that's who got the biggest pop: the Hulk Hogan's, the DXs, and the Brothers of Destruction. That's what they wanted. They didn't seem to care about a lot else. So you could say that, I guess, in all fairness, but it was just so bad. I mean, it to me was just a clear indicator that these guys just don't belong in the ring anymore. And it was like, there's this segment where the Triple H and Undertaker segment where they're trying to Irish whip each other to the barricade, but they can't quite figure out they can't get in sync. And so they both basically just end up kind of jogging into the barricade and just selling nothing. It was just so awkward. You had Shawn Michaels ripping off Kane's mask and wig.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that Kane still has hair.
You had the Triple H doing the Harley race bump where he tore his pec going outside.
How did that? So when did he tear his pec?
It was taking that Harley race like bump to the outside when he went over the top rope. That's when he tore his pec. Yeah. And then you had Shawn Michaels do a moonsault, and basically Undertaker and Kane don't catch him. He falls flat on his fucking face and busts his nose open, bleeding. And I'm just like, oh my god, this is so bad.
Yeah, the moonsault did look good though. That may have been the best part of the match.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Joey Mercury is who he reminded me of. Shawn Michaels. If you watch that match, he kind of reminded me of a Joey Mercury.
Why?
He just did, like, his look. I don't know. It was so bad to see these legends kind of have a match like this, and it's kind of depressing. So, Shawn looked much better than all of the rest, but I have no desire to see any four of them ever again in a ring, except maybe Triple H with Batista. I was sold on that. So that I still am. Well, it's in jeopardy now, right? But certainly if they could do it, like, hey, I'm all in on that. But besides that, yeah, I don't need to see these guys again.
That is the unfortunate truth that the torn pec does kind of put that match in jeopardy. Dave Meltzer is, of course, speculating that Randy Orton could be a surefire replacement for him. I wouldn't mind that, to be honest with you. Orton versus Batista.
Well, I mean, I think when you look at Evolution, right? And Randy Orton was obviously part of that. He was part of the recent segment they had. So if you look at a next replacement, obviously it's not going to be Ric Flair. If it can't be Triple H, who does that leave? It leaves Randy Orton. So, next best thing, I'm fine with it. But the heat was with Triple H. That's what I would like to see. That's probably the only Triple H match I'd actually like to see at WrestleMania. And then I'd like him to go away when it comes to in-ring.
What about Triple H versus Shawn?
Yeah, no desire to see that at all. I mean, I've been watching wrestling, as you know, for over 30 years. So I've seen these guys fight a lot, and I've seen them team a lot too. But, I don't know how many more times you can do that, or what the payoff is, or how that really benefits anyone. I'm not interested in that at all.
Well, I will be in the minority when I say that I hope The Undertaker has wrestled his very last match.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I mean, I have no desire to see him again either. He's just looks rough, man. And he doesn't need to do it. And gosh, I mean, it's what it is. It's wrestling. It's not a huge deal, but it just, what can you say? It's just not very good.
It doesn't tickle you the way you like to be tickled.
Right, exactly. I know how I like to be tickled, and that is certainly not it.
Yeah. I do too, but I will not be talking about your girlfriend, unlike some people. moving on to the Beast Incarnate regaining his WWE Universal Championship. You know, I had to steal a phrase from Conrad Thompson, chat me up here, because, you know, Braun Strowman has been, well, you know, before his heel run with the stable, the bad guy. Or he was a babyface and he was trying to win the title, obviously. And now it takes 5 F5s in 2.5 minutes to pin him. I mean, what's the deal?
Well, that was really a poorly booked match. I mean, what they were trying to accomplish was, you know, hey, Corbin interfered, really cost him the match. And then the putover is that it took Braun so much to actually beat him that it's supposed to make, you know, Braun look really strong in defeat. But this is kind of an angle that they've used way too much with Brock Lesnar. And so it really weakens the value of that. And plus, I just thought it was, you know, really, really over the top. And he was squashed so quickly that it's kind of, you know, I didn't really care for this. And, you know, I just, I don't know. It's puzzling. The whole thing is puzzling because they had, you know, Braun Strowman so hot at one point. And they cooled him off, right? I mean, there's no question about it. And now they tease it again with the big title win, and they pull it away again. And we've seen when they do this kind of stuff, there's a history of it, and it just cools a person off, and then nobody cares about him anymore. So I don't really see what the benefit is.
I don't either. And I think they were trying to book themselves into a corner. And in my opinion, I think it backfired because I don't want to see Brock and whoever watched UFC 230 when Daniel Cormier retained his heavyweight title, we know what's going to happen. He called out Brock. Brock's going to fight. He's training for a fight as we speak. I don't get where they're coming from. Putting the title on him. I don't think the UFC gives a damn who has the title and who doesn't. Why would they care? It's not that. It's complete. It's two different worlds. I don't think it matters. However,
but John, you're telling me Daniel Cormier is not getting put over huge if he beats Brock Lesnar, the Universal Champion of the WWE.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that.
Can he kick out of 5 F5s in the octagon?
So there was a report about a month ago that saw Cormier come to the Performance Center to be an announcer, not a wrestler. Because he right now is obviously a UFC commentator and analyst, and he's quite good at it. But what does this prove? What does this say? That Dana White wants to cross promote? Does he really need to?
I don't know that he needs to, but if it's good for business, why not? I mean, certainly what he's learned from Vince is the promotional aspect and really playing up the drama, the story angles. You know, I reported this, actually had the exclusive on this on Twitter as well, that Brock Lesnar, who was originally scheduled to appear at UFC 230, didn't. The New York State Athletic Commission told Dana White, no, because they had a pre-planned segment post-fight where Daniel Cormier, after he presumably won, would have had a confrontation in the octagon with Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
You know, and that's true. And the New York State Athletic Commission actually responded to my report directly. It got their attention. Yeah. And, you know, they just basically called the report ridiculous. Well, I got news for you guys. You just legalized MMA 2 years ago. To act like you don't have influence and you wouldn't have done this when, you know, there's a source close to the situation saying otherwise, you know, it's just bullshit.
Of course they have influence, dude. Now, and kind of just to digress a little bit, so in the brawl with McGregor and Khabib last month, one of Khabib's partners, who Dana said in an interview, he will never fight in the UFC again. He was under contract to fight in the UFC. He is reinstated. He will fight again. And it was one of the two guys that I follow the most in the MMA world. One of them being David Bixenspan of Deadspin, and the other one on Twitter, Front Row Brian. One of them said, "We all know who's running the UFC, and it sure as hell ain't Dana White."
Yeah.
So I'd like to see the person, again, all that coming into play here. I'd like to see the person because, again, why couldn't they have easily just put the title on Braun Strowman because Brock could ride off into the sunset. He wasn't even signed on to be with the company post the show in Redacted Country.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't. It just, it brings Raw back to the way it was before SummerSlam, right? And
it does.
I just don't. I don't see how it's progressing, And certainly he could drop the title, before WrestleMania. But I just don't see. In my opinion, you've got guys on the show right now. You've got Braun, you've got Drew McIntyre, you've got Dean Ambrose, you've got Seth Rollins, you've
Bobby
got
Lashley, unfortunately.
Bobby Lashley, yeah, a ton of guys. Lashley. You got a ton of guys, and they could all be contenders for that Universal Championship, but the championship is never on the show.
Now, it's according to reports, Brock will lose the title soon, like very soon. He will not have it after Survivor Series, is what I'm leading. What people are telling me. And if that's the case, then fine. Whatever. But why? I'm not in that room. I may never will be. But I would just like some clarity on the situation, and I want some more answers. I want to figure out why this happened. Again, if Roman if he didn't have to go through this life altering event, we'd be seeing Roman winning the title, looking strong, yada yada yada. It would be all happiness forever and good night. But things changed.
Yeah, I actually had someone send me a job link to a WWE creative assistant position.
Me too.
And that'll be a hard pass for me.
Yeah, I don't think that job's for me. I'll just be the quiet observer in his armchair, stroking his neck beard. I like that. I think it's fun. And no, I don't have a neck beard. Okay, I have a little scruff, but that's about it. Yeah, so let's get down to brass tacks. Survivor Series is coming up. It is the one time where for Raw and SmackDown go head-to-head in direct competition. Not 5 times a year, just Survivor Series. Never let that go. Okay, before we get there, I have to ask a question.
Sure.
What was the whole Natalia sunglasses thing about? What was that?
Well, and I think this is a fair question, and you could debate, was it worthier for crying in this segment, fake crying, over the Jim Neidhart sunglasses, which weren't obviously his real sunglasses.
No.
But, of course, the story was she was wearing sunglasses of her late father, who is definitely a WWE legend. And,
oh, yeah.
I was very fond of the Hart Foundation and Jim Neidhart. So that was the story. And Ruby Riott, who kind of, anyway, she breaks the sunglasses, and Natalia goes into a complete crying fit. But my bigger picture point to that was, hey, look, it's another week and another women's segment where a female WWE superstar is crying. Because that's the one emotion they all seem to routinely have on the TV show, is anytime they feel a certain way, they have to cry about it. And you don't see the men booked like that. And that's what I'm pointing out, right? And so you're not going to book someone to be a real strong champion when they're consistently just crying over stuff. So I don't think it's effective booking. There's certainly times it can be for sympathy in the right scenarios, but the sunglasses thing it wasn't like over the top great for me. It was just kind of silly.
It was awkward as shit.
Yeah.
It was just awkward. Yeah. It was I was so uncomfortable. Is that what they wanted? Hey, they got their wish, man. Oh, that was so weird, dude. Yeah. I didn't understand it. But you bring up a really good point about the women. I am a very big fan of women's wrestling, a lot more than you, and that's not a slight. It's just a fact.
No.
It is not a slight at all.
Look, we all enjoy different things in wrestling. That's what's great about it. Is,
of course.
Yeah, some people like the indies, some people like ROH. Some people really love women's wrestling. That's all cool. I'm not a big women's wrestling fan. That's okay. There are certainly parts I really love. Like I love China.
Yeah.
I love what Ronda Rousey is doing for the most part. I like what Becky Lynch is doing a lot. But I'm just being honest, right? I don't find it as entertaining as the men's wrestling. And when I look at sports, I feel the same way. I don't watch the WNBA. I don't have an interest in it. I like the NBA.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm being honest about how I feel. And we all have things we like and don't like, and that's okay.
Yeah, I like short people. You hate short people.
Yes, exactly. Midgets. Now, little people is what we're...
You know what?
But I'll tell you what. Nothing beats a good midget tossing segment in pro wrestling.
You and Dean would be best friends.
I think I should take that creative assistant job, and I should do it just to book a midget tossing segment with Braun and Baron Corbin.
Are they tossing?
The winner of the midget tossing contest gets a title shot at Brock Lesnar. I think that's fair.
Are you tossing Rey Mysterio, Leo Rush, and Drake Maverick? Are those your test subjects?
Well, we've got more midgets now. Like you said, we've got Leo Rush. We've got. We could even bring back Hornswoggle, Horny. We could bring him back for a tossing.
Dean hates Rey Mysterio. That is his least favorite wrestler of all time. And in fact,
yes, that's because Rey is a small wrestler.
Yes. Yeah. Dean. So I might have to have a personal request for next week of his Rey Mysterio rant and why he hates him. It is hate. Hate is a strong word, ladies and gentlemen. Dean, who you will meet very soon, if you have not listened to our programming before, hates Rey Mysterio. No. So the whole point I was trying to make, to go back to, about women's wrestling, the way that they just booked Natalya, just mind-boggling. And the Riot Squad, to their credit, are all good wrestlers. Ruby Riott is a fantastic wrestler. Fantastic. From the way she carries herself in the ring to her promos, she's a future champion whenever they let her do what she wants. Liv Morgan, a decent mid-carder. Sarah Logan, I'm not really convinced yet, but as a three, they have a lot of good chemistry, and I like them a lot. I think they're entertaining as hell.
I think I would like to see a Twitter account. Ruby Riott is a bird, and where you're posting pictures of her, and then a side-by-side comparison.
She can't help. She can't help that.
No, I mean that you look. There's actual Twitter accounts. Like there's Kevin Owens as a bear. There's Okada as ice cream. There's like these little quirky Twitter accounts.
Wait, is there really?
Where they do side-by-side pictures.
All right, that's kind of funny. I thought you were making fun of Ruby Riott for having a big nose. That's not nice.
No, I would never do that.
Oh, good. I don't know. Do what you want. I don't care. So, but to circle back again, Becky Lynch and the way that they're booking her.
I think you lost your train of thought.
I do a lot. For those of you who are just joining us, it is true. It's damn true. Becky's my favorite wrestler right now. She has been for months, and the way she's just talking smack to everyone and not giving a damn, it's honestly one of the coolest things I've seen, to finally let a women's talent be herself and to write her own material and to actually go out of that comfort zone of being a douchey, goofy baby face with all smiles like Finn Balor and letting them be the character that they were born to play. And Becky is a badass, and she can do whatever she damn well pleases.
Yeah, I think she's excelling in the role right now.
Easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think the crowd response is really great, and I know you've been a Becky Lynch fan for a long time, so it's probably really cool for you. And I'm actually enjoying what she's doing right now. I think it's men or women. It's really some of the best stuff. So,
oh my gosh, yeah,
getting to watch.
Not even a question. Just from like the subtle things on Twitter, like it was a week ago where she screenshotted a Ronda Rousey tweet that says Ronda follows you, or Ronda followed you, and then Becky's her caption was, "Well, she tried." It's honestly, like, for me, it's the little things, like when CM Punk was my favorite wrestler for so many years, because just the little things that he did, it was the things that he said, his mannerisms and everything all put together was just perfect to me.
Yeah. By the way, he's not returning to WrestleMania to wrestle Shane McMahon.
No, he's not.
That barn's been burned. I mean, bridge.
Oh no!
Not
He said,
happening.
"Oh, see, you know what you just did." So, Family Guy made a joke once about a show saying the name of the show in the show. But
I'm just imagining the Peter Griffin laugh as you say that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I am too. If only I was good at impressions.
Yeah.
But as far as the WWE recently, I think it's been some good, some bad, which I think is the case all the time.
Yeah.
From Becky and Ronda, very good. I'm enjoying it a lot. Even some of the tag team wrestling, like even the New Day and the Usos had a good tag match. We've seen it 100 times. It's just still entertaining. On SmackDown on Tuesday.
You know, you bring up an interesting point, John, and I just want to say, and this may sound a little drastic.
Uh-oh.
And I want to put it in context, I guess. There's certainly not, in my view, going to be probably the Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express. But I think kind of the New Day versus the Usos is this generation's Rock and Roll Express versus Midnight Express.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think it kind of is in this new modern era. Yeah, obviously it's very different in a lot of ways, but it's also a little similar as well. So I think it's as close as we're going to get. I really do. I mean, I think the Usos are the best tag team in professional wrestling of this generation. I really do believe that.
Is it too crass to think that the Revival are better than them?
I really like the Revival. In WWE just, won't pull the trigger on them, period. I mean,
well, hey, at least they gave the Authors of Pain a championship, which I think is long overdue because they can actually wrestle. But not only that, your boy Baron Corbin, new listeners of the show, Baron Corbin is Brad's favorite wrestler and Dream Boy, Dreamboat. Dreamboat? Yeah, Dreamboat. And Brad and his wife, this is not a shoot. This is certainly kayfabe, so people don't think that Brad's weird. It's a hall pass. You like a hall pass. Like with your significant other,
movie,
and it is a good movie. The hall pass. Like, well, okay, yeah, if I saw this person just once, we're still together. Yeah, I got a hall pass. But here's the thing, because Brad's wife is an amazing woman. I've never met her. I just assume that every time that Brad's watching Raw, the Hulu cut so he can skip to the parts with Baron Corbin in it. She walks through and says, honey, not again. I told you time and time again to not wear sweatpants when you watch Raw. I kid. No, it's really funny because...
Oh, gosh. I had a joke there I'm totally not going to say.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Well, you could have, but now it's just too late. It's finally happening for some tag teams. You see the Revival they're not doing anything with, but AOP, they've been up on Raw for over a year and a half, and they finally get a title because decent writing. It's really decent writing. They have it make sense that Seth dropped it because those two behemoths beat the crap out of him and won the championship because of a heel GM. Man, look at that. It isn't that hard, people. It's not.
Yeah, I wish there would have been more consistent and build up to it happening. It was just very random. Like they come out and win the title, and that's supposed to be a momentum boost, but it's really not. I mean, they need something before the big win to kind of establish themselves and help the win mean something. I think that was missing, but certainly I think AOP is right where they need to be in the championship picture as champions, that type of a role, and I think they'll do well at it as they continue to grow. I still, I don't get the Drake Maverick thing at all, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, certainly it's not like the tag team scene right now is so great that AOP couldn't have a title run. Hell, why can't the Revival have a title run? I don't know. These are the questions we ask ourselves late at night when we record a podcast.
You're right. Oh, so I have. Are you a fan of Lucha Underground?
I guess kind of. I mean, I'll tell you what. I loved season 1 of Lucha Underground. And back when we first did our very, very first podcast, The Voices of the Voiceless,
Oh yeah.
we talked about Lucha Underground some, and I was a big fan of season 1. But it didn't get any better. It kind of got worse to me as the seasons went on. I don't watch it now. I really only watch WWE main roster with a little bit of exceptions. As far as TV shows, that's most of the time that I have. I have to pick and choose.
So I have a spoiler for Lucha Underground. Mute it for the next 15 seconds, maybe 20. You actually know you can do a 15-second skip. Do it 3 times just to be safe. And start. There are spoilers tonight from Lucha Underground's Twitter that formerly known as Jack Swagger, the Savage Jake Strong, just won the Lucha title. The Lucha, I guess it's the heavyweight title or whatever they have. And there has been a tease of a higher power in Lucha Underground. I don't know how well you know the storyline, but the ultimate higher power is none other than Wade Barrett.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I'm interested now.
Yeah.
I'm actually interested now. I mean, I don't know if they say they don't know if there will be a season 5, but
well, I think they just ended season 4 with that.
Right. Well, I hope there is a season 5 then, because Wade Barrett is intriguing to me. Here's a guy who there is no reason he shouldn't have been a WWE champion in WWE. I mean, it was the way they killed off the Nexus and the way they just mistreated him with this Royal King gimmick where he just kept getting jobbed out. Now, here's a guy who's 6'6", 6'7", legit, who's got a 6-pack. He's in phenomenal shape. He can talk on the mic. He's believable, bare knuckle boxer, and you job the guy out. I mean, it was like it didn't make sense to me at all. I thought they handled him just so bad.
I agree.
That's a guy who had, in my opinion, just a lot of potential, just like a Drew McIntyre does, and they just totally screwed it up.
Yeah. So end of spoiler. But go to the Lucha Underground Twitter if you don't know what happened, because it's pretty freaking cool. It might actually get me to watch. And it's funny because people are saying if we don't get a season 5, they'll be pissed. It was at Ultima Lucha 4 is where that happened, by the way.
Yep.
So you go ahead and go back and watch it. We don't have a lot of time left. We're going to keep episodes usually around an hour. And anything you got? Do you have any scoops? Oh,
well, I'm certainly not going to just make stuff up. I'm not going to tell you that WrestleMania 37 is going to be in LA when that's not even possible to have been decided yet. I'm going to, I actually value the news that I provide. And if I'm not sure of it, I'm going to tell you, like, this is me guessing, or this is me, trying to put 2 and 2 together, thinking what could be possible. But when it comes to delivering inside information inside of WWE, I'm going to be really clear about what I know and what I don't. And I think that kind of thing is really important to your credibility. So
it is.
I will have some information soon, some big news coming up on, Access, WrestleMania, all those type of things coming up soon. So you'll definitely want to stay tuned to the podcast. I definitely will be hearing back soon on all of that. And I'm not going to put it on Twitter. I'm actually going to, let everyone know who listens. So if you're listening, you'll obviously get the information when I have it, and I'll be glad to share it with all of you.
And by the way, we don't do a Patreon. We're not going to do one. Brad and I haven't talked about this, but there's always going to be discussion because it's a 2-man show, not a 1-man show, not a really big man's show, and not in a good way. We don't. Brad knows what I'm talking about. We don't, want things to become kind of like, and any wrestling, anyone who's a podcast can do whatever the hell they want. I'm not going to certainly chastise anyone for that, nor should I judge them. Patreons help do a lot of good things, but at this point right now, we're going to be giving you the content and the scoops and the journalistic integrity all for free. Just watch and hang out with us. That's all that we ask. So before we go and sign off, Brad's best friend is back. Oh yeah, you want to know why he's back? he has an ironclad contract. And poor Mr. Dona. I really hope that's how it's pronounced. It's Dona, right? The GH is silent.
I think so. Look, he's a really cool guy. He's
Dona Corby?
A legitimate journalist. He's not one of these fake news, dirt sheet writers. He's an actual real journalist.
Yep.
And we appreciate his support of the show as well.
Absolutely. Dona Corby's a good guy. Works for the Irish Mirror. Go give him a follow. How about that for an Irish accent? Not bad, huh? His profile picture currently right now is with The Miz, so go make fun of him for us. Because Dean, my good friend Dean, is back. He goes where we go. He's a follower, which is fine because we need them. And Dona Corby was really mad. He's like, well, I'm not going to listen if Dean's there. And, well, Dean has an ironclad contract. And the only way that Dean is off the podcast, and this is still intact, is if Baron Corbin, if Baron Corbin wins the Universal title, then Dean will go away forever. So
no
okay,
pressure, Vince. No pressure.
No, yeah, you're right. So this episode, or this, so what Dean does, he drops an elbow, hence an elbow drop. He decided to do it on the crowd noise, and for those, just a little bit of a background. And if Dean does go over this, I apologize because I don't listen to it before we listen to it. During Crown Jewel at Redacted Country, when they were doing some of the replays, they were editing the audio for cheers when people were clearly booing. And they did the same thing with, I think it was one of the women's segments for a promo, and Becky was getting cheered to hell and back, but they implemented boos instead. Just to kind of give you paints a picture for you. So here's Dean, back once again.
Oh, Brad, you didn't know? I've got an ironclad contract that extends right back into this podcast. It is so good to be back with you and Jon. And I'm still dropping the elbow, and a big-ass elbow this week on Vincent Kennedy McMahon, who is the only one that I can possibly hold responsible for the bullshit that he's trying to pull with changing crowd noise. Little history lesson, folks. Back in 1992 at the Royal Rumble, the one that Ric Flair won the World Wrestling Federation Championship, there were three men left: Hulk Hogan, Sid Justice, and Ric Flair. Hulk Hogan and Sid Justice faces at the time, Ric Flair the heel, and they were positioning Hulk and Justice for a feud. And what happened is Hulk Hogan got eliminated by Sid Justice. The crowd, uncharacteristically at the time, cheered. And then Hogan, in what is actually a heel move from the outside, tried to pull Sid Justice over. Ric Flair assisted, and he was eliminated. Ric Flair won. People booed Hulk Hogan for doing that. But in the replay, they piped in cheers for Hulk Hogan, chants for Hulk Hogan, and boos for Sid Justice, as if that's what happened. Fast forward, 2018. Becky Lynch interviewing with Edge on the Cutting Edge on SmackDown says she doesn't like herself. She loves herself. And the crowd popped. But in Evolution, when you saw that replay, you heard boos. Oh yeah, that's right. They want Becky Lynch to be the heel. They don't like that you're reacting in favor of Becky Lynch. And then, Monday Night Raw, taped from Manchester, the crowd vehemently booing crown jewel? Oh, we'll just change the crowd noise before it airs on USA Network. McMahon, Helmsley, whoever is in charge of doing this shit, we're not that stupid. And we, the fans, decide who we're going to cheer, who we're going to boo, and if you didn't learn it with Roman Reigns, you're eventually going to learn it with Becky Lynch. This elbow has been dropped. Nice to be back, Brad. Oh, Brad.
Well, any thoughts?
I actually fell asleep, so...
Okay. You did not.
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I guess nobody will ever know.
That's enough. So no, really, I think Dean brings up a good point.
What good point does he bring up, John?
Changing crowd noise is a smokescreen for failure.
Yeah, no, you're right. If you're gonna, I mean, they might as well just put up a sign, and they might as well turn on the sign when they want you to cheer, just like a live studio audience TV show. Applause, and the audience applauses. I mean, maybe that's what they need to do. I don't know, because no, you're right. It's obviously we're in a situation where the crowd is kind of manipulating the WWE, and the WWE is not really, manipulating the crowd anymore, because if they were, they would be getting the desired reaction.
Yeah.
And so they haven't figured that out yet.
Well, I think they have finally. I'll be real quick. I think they've settled down on some of the things they've been doing, as far as like trashing Becky on commentary. And I'll just stick with the Becky Lynch thing for now, because I think the crown jewel is just it's inconsequential right now. But with Becky, no, they're not they're not. It's Corey Graves isn't like scathing her or in love with her because he's technically a heel commentator. Byron Saxton isn't like giving her hell.
Right.
Renee Young as the babyface isn't saying, well, she's ridiculous and stupid shit like that. No, I think that they're finally coming around to that. It took time, and I'm really glad that they did. But I think changing the crowd noise is just it insults our intelligence, because, as you put it, it is not Friends. It is not Boy Meets World. It's not any sitcom. It's not a sitcom. It's a live show. It's a live event. It's not Jimmy Fallon or Conan. It's its own entity, and I don't think there should be a place for that.
Yeah, I mean, they just continue to make these decisions where they can't predict what the audience wants, and it's just, it's really puzzling. I'm glad to see him pull back on the Becky Lynch thing and make her more of a gray area character, where she's obviously got the heel sort of vibes, but it's not sort of a cheap heel vibe. It's more of just an attitude. And I think that's a much better direction. But, if they understood their audience, I'm not sure how that would be what they would have come up with in the first place. Certainly. I think it all falls back to Vince McMahon.
Yep, I think it does too. I think it does too. So, all right. That is the end of episode 1. I hope, everyone had a good time. Listen to it in your car, in your house, away from your girlfriend, anywhere in the world. Especially you, Donna Corby. If you want to know more about us, about the show, tweet at us. I'm John Fisher TV on Twitter. Brad, what are you?
At the Brad Shepard on Twitter. SHEPARD. Give me a follow. Chat me up.
Absolutely. And please, again, we're all about engagement. We want to talk to all of you as much as we can. Bug the hell out of us. I mean that seriously. Even trash us on Reddit. Hey, Brad's used to that. So for now, we're recording on Wednesday night because I had a prior engagement with work. Normally we'll be recording Tuesdays, either pushing out Wednesdays or Thursdays. Did we decide on a date yet, or a day each week? Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesdays, right? We're gonna record Tuesday nights going forward, so it'll be up by Wednesday.
Yeah, that's right.
And I do want to say that the people who believed that message on Reddit about me, allegedly tweeting some total nonsense about, having some particular health records, trying to dig those up for Roman Reigns. That was fucking disgusting, and that was just some dumb anonymous troll on Reddit. And the people who wanted to believe that, I think, were just really dumb or easily manipulated, or they just wanted to believe it because they didn't like me to begin with. But it's totally false. I've said that 3 times now. There's no evidence of it. You won't find it in a Google search where it would still exist. The entire free text that was written is not how I would free text or tweet. When you look at a comparison of my other tweets, it's just not me. I just didn't do it. If I did, I'd be glad to say so, but that's just not the case. It's something I actually find disgusting and wouldn't do. So anyway, I guess I'll say it one more time, and that's it.
And until then, yeah, Brad didn't do it, I swear. I swear on me, Mom. We will be with you all next week. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back with more shenanigans. Next week, I haven't told Brad yet because I'm going to tell him right now. We're going to get into a lot of. I want to get into a lot of Roman Reigns talk and see where the company goes from here. Because what happened 2 weeks ago may have been the most integral moment in WWE history, and I'll defend that next week's show. Will we have any scoops, any last words?
I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for your support. Please do rate us 5 stars. Subscribe. We're available again on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play.
Only 3 platforms, but we're going to try to get to 175 platforms, maybe 200 soon, or rather than later. Have a good night, everyone.